Hi friends. I'm here with mounds. There are mounds of books next to me because we're gonna revisit my origin story, which is the mid-year book tag, or the mid-year freak-out tag, which I still have no idea why the fuck it's called that. This is the first video I ever made about books ever on any platform, was the mid-year book tag last year, and now I make videos about books every single day, so humble beginnings. I honestly hate the video I did for this last year. I obviously didn't know much about books yet. I didn't really know how to talk about books yet. It's like really not a good video. I'm like not well spoken in it. I don't recommend. But I'm gonna be better this year, and I also have read so much more this year and like know more about books. Like I'm just used to it now. So last year on the whole I read 35 books, I think. This year already I have read 41 books. I don't even like to keep track because it really isn't about how many books you read. If I start thinking that, then like I won't enjoy reading anymore. But I just think that's cool that like I've evolved into a reader more and like know I want to read. You get it. First question is the best book you've read so far this year. Now, best is different to favourite, but I'm just gonna interpret this as favourite. And that would be The Neverending Story by Michael Ende. How many goddamn times am I gonna talk about this book? I never will stop. This is a middle grade fantasy. You've probably seen the film. I still haven't. I imagine they're vastly different since I'm pretty sure the film is like a musical, or it has that song in it that's in Stranger Things. And that is not the vibes I get from this book. It's actually a very dark fucking story. But this is a portal fantasy. I've talked about it before, about a boy who ends up inside the Neverending Story, which is a magical land of Fantastica. There's magical creatures everywhere. There's a quest. It just pushes the limits of the imagination. But I feel like the reason that this sticks out to me the most is, one, it was kind of the thing that made me go, oh my god, I love fantasy stories. And two, I was diagnosed this year with a chronic illness, actually 3, which has to be some type of record. But the first one was a huge shock, and it was like one of the most daunting weeks of my life, that first week, which is also the week I happened to be reading this book, which just became like a lifeline, like beyond the ultimate comfort. It was just a complete escape, and it like will hold a place in my heart forever because of that. But generally it's just a really great story and a really good fantasy book. I honestly miss it every single day. So that's the best book, or my favorite book I've read so far. This next question isn't like officially in the tag, but I saw a few other people add this question and I love it, which is, how has your reading changed since last year? And oh my god, my reading has changed completely. Last year I read basically only literaries, contemporaries, and like classics. Fuck that. I literally used to be like, I have zero interest in fantasy. I didn't want to follow any careers who talked about fantasy books. I was like, I don't like fantasy. Girl, fantasy is probably my favorite genre now. Like, it's the genre I want to read all of the time, and it was sparked by The Neverending Story. But just generally, I have opened my eyes to so many genres that I adore. I read much more young adult. I've started to like some romance, which is crazy because I hated all the romance I read last year. I still love to read literary and contemporaries, but I don't just read those, and I've barely read any classics this year, and that's fine. I overdid it last year. My brain was malfunctioning. Question 3 is the best sequel you've read. And another thing I started doing this year was reading series, apart from The Hunger Games, which has obviously been an OG, but I haven't actually like read any sequels of those yet. I've just started a bunch of series. So I'm gonna have to say Heartstopper Volume 2, but like I don't think this counts because it's just like a culmination of the webcomics. But it's technically still a sequel. It says 2 on the cover, and I love it with my entire soul. I guess it doesn't have to be sequel like number 2, but just the Heartstopper series. You get it. You get it. Question 4 is a new release you want to read. I'm almost certain The Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan came out this year, and I'm dying to read this. This lighting is actually really worse than I thought. This is a Chinese mythology inspired fantasy, which I love and adore. about a girl who's raised on the moon and then her mother gets exiled because she tries to become eternal. I've really enjoyed every kind of Chinese and Japanese mythology inspired fantasy that I've read so far. There's a cute little map and it's all kind of the imagery of like the moon and all this shit, which I love. And I'm so excited to read this. I actually won this from a giveaway. How fun. I also have Gallant by V.E. Schwab, which I really want to read, but I'm saving this for Halloween. Everyone said when this was released, like, why the fuck did they release this not at Halloween, because it's like such a like spooky book, but it's absolutely fucking gorgeous if I do say so myself. I literally am just watching these back and I can't believe I forgot to say Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reid. I have The Wolf and the Woodsman sitting there and I already know I'm gonna love it, but Juniper and Thorn literally sounds like my perfect book. It's like a gothic fantasy based on the fairy tale of the juniper tree. Oh my god, I am dying to read this book! Other ones I can think of, I'm curious to read Book of Night by Holly Black. I have the Crow Prince series, haven't read it, but I've heard mixed reviews of Book of Night, but it sounds like it would be up my alley. There's definitely a few more, but I don't remember. I had a look on Goodreads and nothing like stuck out to me as something I really want to read, so we'll leave it at that. Next we have Most Anticipated Release. Oh my god, I know what it fucking is. It's... where is it? By a Million Miles, my most anticipated release for the second half is The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim, which is the sequel to Six Crimson Cranes. Oh my god. I literally cannot tell you how much I begged for an advanced reader copy of The Dragon's Promise because I miss being in this book's world so much. I'm just so excited. I'm pretty sure it comes out in September. I don't have it pre-ordered because I don't trust it to come on time, so on the day of its release I will be going to the bookshop to get it. I also can't believe I never said Babel by R.F. Kuang. That's like the release of the second half of the year. I haven't read The Poppy War, but I've only heard phenomenal things. I'm so excited to. And Babel sounds even more up my alley. I literally can't believe I didn't mention that book. If I can think of any more anticipated releases, I'll put their photos here, but on the top of my head I can't think of any, so that is definitely my highest priority. Next question is biggest disappointment. Oh, I have a few. The first one is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I said that so Scottish there. I'm sorry, that felt wrong. This is a book that like so many people give 5 stars. Like I feel like most people give this book 5 stars. I just really didn't connect with it. I really thought it was going to be a lot more kind of magical realism, but like not like plot heavy, like just like vibes of magic, and I didn't think it was going to be so heavily like written by a man, you can really tell, and the last story pissed me off, and it wasn't like the worst book I've ever read, but it really like did not do it for me in the way I hoped. Lapfona by Tessa Mushfeg. I was very kindly gifted an arc of this from Penguin because I had really high hopes. I like Tessa Mushfeg's writing and I stand by that. I think she is an incredible writer and this book is very well written, but it left me feeling nothing. Like during it I felt disgusted and squirmy, which is the point, but after I was kind of like, so what was that for? Like there's not really any like reason, or it just like was lacking such depth, and I will talk about this in my monthly wrap up soon, but yeah, it was a disappointment for me. And lastly, Hear Me Out. It ends with us by Colleen Hoover, only because I know better now. I know who Colleen Hoover is, I know her fucking gig, and I know that it's not for me, but I didn't know that at the start of the year. This was the first book I read this year, and like all I'd ever heard was everyone giving it 5 stars. Don't know who I was speaking to that was giving it 5 stars, but then so when I started reading it and I was like, this is not good. This is really not good. It was disappointing. But now I would never have high hopes for a Colleen Hoover book, no offense. The next is Biggest Surprise, which I guess is like the positive version of disappointment. Why did I just explain the definition of surprise? But like surprise, you know what I mean? Like surprise could be like, oh, it was surprising how bad it was, but I'm taking it as a positive. Jesus Christ. Probably Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, because as I said last year, I was like, romance books make me cringe so much, I can't do it. And then I read this and I was fucking obsessed. Like literally screaming, crying, convulsing like on the bus in public, I was like, no one look at me while I read this. It makes sense for me that I would love romance books because I grew up reading fan fiction every goddamn day, and I was obsessed, and I would get butterflies in my stomach and I would get so excited, and so it makes sense for me that I like romance, and I don't know why I would like thought that I wouldn't if I actually found a good book, but alas I do, and I'm so excited to read the other two in this trilogy. Oh my god. The next one is favourite new author. Oh shit, I never even thought about this. I don't know if there's an author this year that I've found that I've read multiple books by yet. So I suppose that like maybe it doesn't count. Like this is just based on one book. But Caleb Zimmer Nelson comes to mind. This book has convinced me that he is going to be an auto-buy author for me. This was such an insanely impressive debut. This book is so heartfelt and intimate and so well written and impactful. So definitely Caleb Zimmer Nelson. I'd maybe also say Susanna Clarke, author Piranesi, but all of her other books, I own both of them. My incredible friend Nicole gifted them to me, but they're very, very different. So I don't know if I'm gonna vibe with them as much as I did with Piranesi, but I'm very excited, and I have heard generally just very good things about her. Okay, newest fictional crush. I mean, it has to be Redford Morgan. I feel like, again, this is like a product of me not reading enough romance books, because generally I'm not like falling in love with the people I read in like fantasy or whatever, but oh my god, Redford Morgan. In a similar vein, a newest favourite character. Honestly, I may say Piranesi from Piranesi, because when I was reading it, that was one of the things that kind of stuck with me the most, was how much I just cared deeply about Piranesi and wanted the best for him, and like I felt so many emotions towards his character when I was reading it. Also, Kiki the paper bird from Six Crimson Cranes. I love her with my entire soul and miss her every day. I also will say Theo Decker from The Goldfinch, but not in the sense that I think he's a good person and I would like be friends with him, but in terms of like well written character, he probably takes the cake, because Donna Tartt is just like insane, and like Theo Decker is one of the most well-rounded, fleshed out characters I've ever read about in my life. I mean, obviously you're reading almost 900 pages about his life, so like inevitably, but it's just so well done. The next question is a book that made you happy. I don't read many of those. I'm basically just repeating myself. The Heartstopper novels, Get a Life Chloe Brown, and also the recently read Legends and Lattes. This was just so cozy and nice. I had found family, anything with found family, and like I will cry, sob, convulse. But yeah, this was very, very wholesome, cozy, and I cried with happiness. So that's rare. Speaking of, the next question is a book that made you cry. Oh lord, did I be crying at books? The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I almost cried near the star, but the last, specifically the last page, but like the last 2 pages, I don't know why, but I was sobbing. It's not sad, it's just like so rewarding and so like deeply emotional, and you like feel it connect to your own life, and like it really did it for me. Definitely the book that made me cry the most was Open Water by Caleb Zimmer Nelson. It is so essential to read about injustice and oppression and the traumas that come from that, but it's hard, and lord was I upset. I was very, very emotionally invested in this book because it really puts you in it so well. It's quite literally a, what's it called? I don't know what the perspective is called, I don't remember, but it's like you are the main character. Like it says you say this, you go and do this. I mean, it's just a fantastic way of literally putting you in the character's shoes, which it already does magnificently. And yeah, this was like really, really touching and like horrible and beautiful and amazing. Oh my god, your most beautiful book you received or bought this year? Let me get the list. Firstly, I will mention this copy of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Alice the Looking Glass that my friend gifted me recently. That is just beautiful. Again, worst lighting on earth for this video. This is the Barnes & Noble edition. Oh, but they have it they do sell it here, and it is just absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. If you didn't know, I collect editions of Alice in Wonderland, so this was very much hers. Oh, it also has blue edges for some reason. This edition of The Night Circus. This is one of my favourite books of all time also, and I think this is absolutely beautiful. I got this in a charity shop for £3. Has nice end papers. Wait for this. Has the clock under the dust jacket. This is not like the most crazy in-depth hardback I've ever seen, but I absolutely adore it. This copy of Dante's Inferno is so pretty for no reason. It's upside down. Yes, it is. Absolutely magnificent on the eyes, shall we say. The realistic answer to this is my copy of The House on the Cerulean Sea by T.G. Klune, but I will be unhauling this. I will probably sell it because I've recently come to know that this book, I haven't read it, I've recently come to know that this book is basically, the premise is taken from kind of a colonized interpretation of Indigenous trauma, like the 60s scoop in Canada, which is not TJ Klune's trauma to be exploiting for his novel, and apparently it's just a really disgusting, as I said, like quite colonial interpretation, and has like anti-black sentiments, and like fuck that. Like, I will not be reading that, and unfortunately I have a really beautiful copy, and I will be getting rid of it, and I won't be showing you it because then maybe you'll want to buy it. But I literally live for pretty books. I have way more, but I can't show you all of them. Oh, I'll just say, I find The Pride of the Orange Tree so fucking gorgeous. Anyway, and the last question is books you need to read by the end of the year. There's so many. I really want to read The Secret History by Donna Tartt since I read The Goldfinch. I really want to read The Picture of Dorian Gray, Frankenstein, Dracula. I'm saving a lot of these for October, you know, spookier season. I really want to read The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, which I do own now. That is a fantasy novel that I've been dying to read since I heard about it. The Parable of the Sword by Octavia E. Butler. I own The Handmaid's Tale, but since kind of reading more about it, I've decided I'm not going to read it. I'm probably just going to get rid of it. And I'm going to read something like Parable of the Sword instead, which is a much more inclusive version of the story, basically, and probably better. Lonely Castle in the Mirror. Oh my god. My friend Jen, this is like one of her favorite books of all time, and I know that I should love it. Like, in theory, it should be a book I absolutely adore, and I think that's why I've been so scared to read it, because I'm like, what if I read it the wrong time? What if I don't love it? But I'm so excited to. And I definitely will by the end of the year for sure. A Jane Austen. I have Pride and Prejudice, so I'm probably gonna read that. So many. Again, I'll put some photos here. The point of this challenge is literally to say one book for each question. But what is the fucking fun in that? I thought it'd be funny if I looked at the video I did last year and reacted to the books I said that I was gonna read by the end of that year. And to see if I did that, because I already know that I probably didn't. Didn't read that because Jay Kristoff is a transphobe and not a good person, and also I tried to and it was ass. Okay, I got him mixed up apparently. It wasn't transphobia, it just generally so much shittiness. This guy's not a good person. He's like obnoxious and the worst and so problematic. You can look it up. Okay, well I did read The Goldfinch now, but I didn't read it last year. I just read it like 2 months ago, but that still counts. Lord, did I read the Song of Achilles? Lord, is it one of my favourite books of all time? I'm literally reading that right now. I literally started that today. My mind. Oh, I also read this last year. That was last year, right? Yes. I enjoyed this book also. The Vanishing. The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett I still have not read. That is probably the book I've owned the longest I haven't read. I need to read that. I just keep forgetting. I can't see it on my shelves anymore. You never heard of it? This book is about... We don't need the synopsis, babe. Oh, I did not... I have no interest in reading this. I got this in like a random book box. The synopsis sounds good, but I'm not ever gonna read that. I really need to get rid of those books. I did read that. Again, only like 2 weeks ago. It wasn't very good, but I did read that. Again. What the fuck?
One enchanted evening.
No. Again, I got this in like a random book box. I'm never going to read this. I need to give it to a charity shop. I also never finished this book. It was really boring. This was when I had no idea what books I wanted to read. I literally was just reading what like arrived on my doorstep. No interest. As I expected, not very successful. I think we're done here. This is very fun. I love a good book tag. Once again, sorry for the terrible lighting and terrible background and terrible organisation if we're being honest. But that's what you can expect from me. No one takes these seriously. Zero people take these seriously. If you read books, Kian, Frankie, I'm looking at you. Answer these questions to me because I genuinely want to know. Send me like a 10-minute long voice note answering all these questions. Thank you. I make videos about books on TikTok, which is very embarrassing, but I do. So if you're interested, that's my have fun. You can hear that it's raining now. This actually would have been nice ambience for the rest of the video. Never mind, it's getting very heavy. Okay, hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a lovely day. Holy fuck. I'll see you whenever for my June and July reading wrap up. I've read a lot of books.